I've known Jar a few years, but we came together recently for the Blu-ray release of this, which is going to be coming out at the end of June. You can pre-order from the BFI shop and online. And we did a little chat about the music in the film. So we're going to talk about the music in the film. But I just wanted to start, because I know you grew up in the 70s.
Grew up in the 70s, and this film resonates. Newcastle was one of the cities where you had a huge slum clearance going on through the 60s into the 70s, because you had the T. Dan Smith thing that went on. I think he was the leader of the Labour Council at the time, and I think there was allegations of corruption, and I think it ended up, I think he went to prison, in fact. And so the films at that time, there was a lot going on in society. There were a lot of state money was swishing about. There were gangsters getting involved, with a lot of the building projects and council flats and one thing and the other. A lot of them were quite, jerry built. And you had, at the same time, of course, very much tied in, the dark forces of free market tears was already starting. And in fact, Mike Hodges says on the commentary with the DVD, I think probably in the early 90s, that Cyril Bumby in it,
that's right,
the big man.
Yeah, Alf Roberts.
He was Alf Roberts, devout Catholic, who had to talk to his priest.
The big man.
He had to take advice from his priest before taking that role. And the priest must have said, "You're just an actor, go and act." But anyway, I suppose. But anyway.
I took advice from my priest before doing this Q&A.
Yeah, I feel compromised morally, but I just have to go with it. But anyway, it was... Mike Hodges said it was it was a new type of Englishman was appearing. It was kind of Thatcher. Somehow, for something happens as a reaction, and you had quite extreme politics then with the left and the right, as you're now seeing here. Of course, this is very similar time we're in now. Funny enough, with a Tory party chucking a lot of state money into their friends' pockets, into furloughing people and one thing and the other.
So when would because you would have grown up around the time, I know, because you're in the documentary about Scala, but would you have seen this then, or was it something that you would have seen? Because we used to bootleg videos. I mean, was that how
I used to bootleg it? I used to flog Clockwork Orange, because it was bad.
You've got a few on you tonight, haven't you, that you'll be selling?
Yeah, I've got a couple for you if you want, and I'll be, round the back here if you want something. But no, so I would get. We had a DVD prototype player and all that, and somehow we got hold of, and I got into copy. I was fascinated with all that, so I saw it. By the time it come round to the 80s, and I had my second bite at the cherry with the music business, I would have enforced film days, afternoons. Sometimes at a guy called John Reynolds' house, was a drummer, where I said, "We're not rehearsing, we're not recording, we're going to watch a film," because I love film, so it suited me. I used to do it with my spiel was it would inspire everybody. I just fancied watching a film in the afternoon, that's all it was. And they all thought I was great. And this was one of the films I introduced them to, because at the time it was seen as a pulp, kind of not much of a big deal. But I recognised in it straight away it was really saying something.
Well, he went on to make a film called Pulp. It's interesting you should mention Pulp. But it's also a film which I think deals very, and you mentioned this when you talked about 70s, class. It's a really class-conscious film. Yeah. So I wanted to ask you about that. But I also wanted to ask you, I mean, we're both Southerners that went north. We both live in the north. We both live in Stockport, funny enough. And there is something to me I like about the film, about the idea of someone going from London to the north, and it's like a foreign land. The idea that you get a pint of bitter not in a thin, tall glass.
Well, by the way, and anyone who's not seen the film, or maybe has, check out when Jack arrives in Newcastle and goes to that pub, which I don't think it's there anymore, and the guy's looking at him. He gives the guy a hard stare, like as if to say, "What are you looking at?" The guy's got 6 fingers, so is when he says, "In a straight glass," he says to the bloke who's eyeballing him has got 6 fingers, by the way.
Yeah.
I play Newcastle, a place called the Cluny normally every year. So I like the north of England. It's very down to earth. So I'm still a socialist, but I split my time between Cheshire and Chelsea. So I'm not sure how that works out, but whatever.
Is it Cheshire or is it Stockport? It's Bramall, isn't it?
Well, 74 they changed it, made it
Right.
everyone still puts Cheshire on the
Yeah.
letters because I think it just makes me feel more posh.
Mate, it's Bramall. It's Bramall.
It's Bramall, Cheshire, yeah.
Stockport.
But so every we go back to Newcastle, and I will often get into Newcastle as the sun is setting and all
Yeah.
that. And I've stayed up there. I like the North East very much, so I stayed in a place called Hartlepool, which is
Brian Clough started.
That's right. Yeah, it's a tough. Well, they hung a monkey for being a Napoleonic spy.
Yeah.
I think there.
Which is fair enough, I think.
And that's a place. Once on a Tuesday afternoon, I left the studio. I stayed at a place called the Marine Hotel, and I'd go down that beach there. I think that geezer who disappeared in his canoe, but not really. I think he lived in one of the houses down there.
Right.
Yeah,
He did. It was a Hartlepool.
ITV done a thing on it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'd go jogging up there and everything. Anyway, this Tuesday, what I think of Hartlepool is a bit crude, but I went out to get kebabs and fish. I went out with a food order up the road. It was a Tuesday evening, 6 o'clock, 6:30. 3 women come out of a pub, completely lagging drunk, and one of them lifted a skirt up and said, "Look at that, you ugly bastard," to me. And that always stuck in my mind. Get a load of that, you ugly bastard. So whenever I think of, that's what I think of her doing.
And on that note, ladies and
gentlemen,
gentlemen,
I scurried off.
as you would.
Yeah, I scurried off with me, I hunched up with me kebabs,
Yeah.
and I did up the road as quick as I could, as soon as my little toes would take me. Yeah.
So the reason we spoke about this film, and I hadn't realised you were a fan of it, was for the music.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think Roy Budd. I mean, people think of British composers. They think of John Barry. I think Roy Budd. I think this was his second score. I think he'd done Soldier Blue before this. I think this is one of the greatest British scores of all time. When you saw the film for the first time, was the score something that planted itself in your mind? Because I know as a musician you like to
I
work.
went mental for it.
Right.
Tablers. Who was using tablers then? Only Miles Davis.
Yeah.
On the corner. Tablers. What a lovely instrument when he's going in on the train. And by the way, anyone who's not seen the film, or maybe has, I'm going to say one thing. Have a look at who's in that first class compartment with him at the beginning of the film. Has absolute relevance to the end, and no one ever spots that. So have a look at who's sitting in that first class carriage with him. But anyway,
Is there anyone here who's seen the film for the first time? Just that. Oh, right.
Oh, you're gonna
All right.
love it. It's fucking brilliant. It's such a good film.
John, this is the BFI. We don't use language.
Oh, sorry,
Like
right.
that.
It's a really great film. It's
That's
really
better.
and look, it's set in a time. It's the man's world and all that. I've just watched Tehran on Apple TV. It's all women, so I don't give it. It's a new era now. It's different. But then it's how it was. Life's just always evolving and changing. So I still love culture now. I still go mad for great films and
So when you would have seen
So
this,
anyway, I loved it, and it's got a bass line, so it's jazz, but it's not going doom doom ding 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 ding. It's not going up and down the scale, doom 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 doom. But so we play that live in my band. We play that. I've recorded 3 or 4 different versions of that. So the great thing about the tablers, they speed up and slow down the score. Very simple score, and it's got this thing. So it takes this one idea and makes it really ambient and minimal at times. And when it's really hammering along, it's got that electric bass and the tablers, and it's like a raga that it speeds up and it slows down. So it's raga-like, fantastic. There's a great, if you put Roy Budd Get Carter theme music, there's a wonderful thing of him playing the score.
Yeah, it's incredible.
On
Just playing
YouTube.
Fender Rhodes,
Yeah,
isn't it? So you started. When did you start doing it live as part of the set with the Invaders of the Heart?
6-7 years ago, probably. Yeah.
But you add to the bass line, don't you? I mean, that's more you, the bass line.
It's just we go on stage and we play the top part of the film. Why are you going up there? I want to find out what happened. There are men up north, Jack. They won't take kindly to some of them in London sticking his bugle in. Pause. Too bad. Why are you going for? To find out what happened. Pause. The police seem satisfied. Incredulous pause. Since when was that good enough? Think again, Jack. I will. boom, 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 and he's up the train. So we actually really honour that. You know, you got John Bindon in it, who's one of the brothers, the Fletcher brothers, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, he was in Performance.
He was a proper tough guy.
He was in Performance.
Georgie Saul, who was out at Hoxton.
Yeah.
And all these were these kind of geezers, the tough guys. Like Georgie Saul goes up there with the other the blonde geezer, and he's shagging with a landlady. You know, who I've got to say, I don't want to be set. I thought she was very, very sexy. You know, for me, the landlady in it.
A window into Jah Wobble's world.
Well, I just thought she was very, very sexy.
Yeah.
You know, proper woman. Anyway, whatever. Just I've got to say it. You know. So they're shagging, and there's a lot of sexual tension with him because he's having telephone sex with Brett Eklund, and it builds the tension up with the landlady. And
you're getting me quite aroused now. Well, that's the problem.
Calm down.
Right.
You're a big man, but no. But then these Georgie Saul and the other geezer turn up. Now, that's what all blokes look like. There was a lot of I grew up with a gangster culture around us.
Yeah.
So they'd wear them kind of leather coats and this, that, and the other. So those were the kind of blokes you had around, you know. So it really resonates with me. The kind of gangsters and stuff, you know.
The other thing that's interesting about this film, and Justin, who's sitting in the front row, he did the Mike Hodges season that we did. Hodges said that he wanted to show what violence really looked like. He didn't want to glamorise it. He wanted to show what violence... And the violence in this film is nasty, quite short, brutal, horrible. That's what violence is.
But I've seen that where they try and jump him, the car speeds off. I've seen that with the car speeding off and geezers getting caught, like silly fuckers, on the...
language, John.
Sorry. Getting caught on the seat belts or getting caught in with the car and the car doors and everything. And just this messy... Violence is very unpredictable. You know, most fights don't last very long, and it's just... Violence is horrible. It's brutal. It's fuckish, and, you know, that's the world of, you know, the bully, really, you know. Thorpe's a horrible little bloke.
He's horrible,
you know. Now, the other bloke... I forget his name.
Albert.
Get yourself a course of karate lessons.
Oh yeah, Alan Armstrong.
Yeah. What an actor he went on to be.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
You know, and he's been in all sorts of things since then. But Thorpe's the real little creep in it. You know.
It's like Charles Hawtrey.
Yeah.
So I know you've seen it recently, but the version you're going to see tonight, as I said, is a brand new restoration. It looks incredible. We had Michael Caine do a little intro. We got this Blu-ray coming out that you're part of. What really excites you about revisiting? Because I know you've said... I mean, I'm a big fan of the big screen experience, and I know you watch a lot of films. You watch a lot of them at home. You're going to see it tonight on a big screen. What's most exciting you about it?
You lose yourself. I want to lose myself in the absolute. So you lose yourself in this alternate reality. It's like when you look at the ocean. You want to lose yourself in it. I think we all want to secretly die. We really want our ego to die because we're always tortured. We're never really comfortable. We're here because we're not all there. That's the lot of the human being. We're here because we're not all there. So we're never really happy, even at the most sublime. Maybe for 5 seconds after making love or 5 seconds after a big meal, we're satisfied. But then, because we've got no desires, but then the desires creep back in again. It's around a fucking... Sorry. It's like a circle, round and round and round and round and round. No matter what gender, no matter rich, poor, everyone suffers. Even the Queen suffers, which I like the thought of. I want them to suffer, but whatever, you know. So I lose myself in it completely. I'm a front row guy. I've never had everyone in my family, they can't understand that. They want to sit further back, but not me. I want to be right at the front. At football, I like sitting up high. I like seeing the patterns of play. You know, but I want to be there. I don't want anything in between me and it. I want communion with it. And there's certain films I love. We talked about Neil Mount with Stuart.
Yeah, Stuart Brown. We're doing a restoration of Neil by Mouth. Yep.
Blade Runner, Apocalypse Now.
Yep.
You know, fantastic.
And you put this in that league, do you?
Oh, this is. I would say, you know, because I remember in the 80s when I would play it to the band. And they'd be, oh yeah, this is Michael Caine. It's like, listen, this is one of the most special films ever. Yeah. It's maybe the greatest British film of all time. It's up there with The Third Man, as far as I'm concerned. Yep. It's that good. And
final thing on Caine, because Caine was from not that far away, Elephant and Castle down the road.
Maurice Micklewhite.
Proper working class actor.
South Londoner.
Do you think this is his best role? Or Jaws 4?
This and Elfie, because all that looking at the, you know, when he finds out he's got a shadow on his lung in Elfie, he's a bit of a tough guy, a bit of a dandy. Oh my God! And he faints, and I like that. You know, I like that. So I think Elfie's fans. I love Elfie as well. Millicent Martin, right?
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is the one.
And they're shagging each other, and that's in them posh flats at Notting Hill, isn't it? I think, from what I remember.
Yeah. Yeah. Right, we're going to draw to a close. But any of you hear Jah Wobble and his band on Mike Riley last night? Yeah. What a great set, wasn't it? So you're out on the road at the moment?
September, we're back out. Well, August, we've got festivals in August. Sorry, I swore.
No, that's all right. We don't.
Sorry, if I caused offence, I'm sorry.
You won't be invited back. But that's all right.
I never am. But it's good. It's good because it keeps it fresh. I have to go and find new friends in new scenes continuously. Yeah. So
you're going out on tour in September?
August, we go out, do the festivals, then we go out, and it's a good band. You know, it's a great band. So
new LP coming?
Yeah, I'm working on a new album for an American company.
Right.
Yeah. So that's with John Klein. I'm doing that. Who's in Susie and the Banshees. Yep. But I've always got recordings happening, and I've got a dub album coming out on a company called Dimple Discs as well. But I don't care if you don't buy it.
But we should also mention you can buy Jar's version of Get Carter on Pressure Sounds, which is one of the great reggae.
Yeah, I don't know if that's still available even, but yeah, that's still going. And
the internet will go down now if people checking.
Yeah, there's a record called Usual Suspects. I think is a very good version on that, But we kill it live. I mean, when we play it in Newcastle, they go berserk because Newcastle, Glasgow, they're my favourite cities to play. They go berserk in it when we play Get Carter.
So, new version of your book is coming out, Memoirs of a Geezer.
They're going to publish the book, so it's going to come out again 2024, beginning of 2024. There's a film being made, apparently.
Documentary.
They've come along and filmed me live.
Right.
So I haven't heard from the geezer for a couple of weeks. So
he probably owes money.
That geezer shit.
Yeah.
It could be possible that he's scrubbed it, but I don't think so. I think that's going to happen. So.
Well, when the film's ready, we'll have to get you back.
Oh, I mean, I'll come and watch films all day. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, look, let's start the film. It's a real pleasure. It's great to have him down. As I said, I'm not trying to. You'll like the Blu-ray of this because it's got lots of musicians. We got Matt Johnson from The and the bass player from who played the bass on Get Carter plays on Matt Johnson's Infected. And we got Barry Adamson talking about the score, Bob Stanley, and the one and only Jah Wobble. So warm round of applause and thanks a lot for coming down, mate.
Thank you. Thanks.